Hey Roadrunners, welcome back to Lip Medallion. I don't need to tell you what tomorrow is, but I'm going to tell you what tomorrow is anyway. It's North Texas Hate game. We got them at home. We got a shot against them. But here's something you got to think about. They average 500 yards per game. We average 420. They average 60-something yards in penalty per game. We average high 80s. They average 27-ish minutes time on the clock. We average 32 minutes time on the clock. That surprised me when I looked it up. They can run the ball for 5 yards per carry. We struggle to get over 3.5. We're like at 3.6. They have lost to basically the three best teams in the conference so far. Well, three of the four, right? They've lost Army, Tulane, and Memphis. We've lost to arguably the three worst teams in the conference. Three of the four worst teams in the conference, right? We've both beaten FAU, and that's our similarity. They couldn't take down Memphis. We did. What if I told you all that and does not matter? Because it really doesn't. Right now, our team is a different football team than their team is a football team. They are arguably the same football team they were week 3 as they are now. We are a completely different football team now than we were week 2. Injuries has a lot to do with it. Look at the players we got playing, right? How many freshman wide receivers we got, right? Overmeyer, freshman tight end. We have a tight end wide receiver that caught some passes for us against Memphis. Amador's back in the game. Our running backs are finally starting to maybe move the ball a little bit. We still struggle running the football. Here's the game in a nutshell. Our defensive line. Can we get to Chandler Morris to prevent him from lighting us up? I think we can. And that's important. That is very, very, very important what our defensive line can do. And they need to do it. They've been on a collision course coming into this game, right? This game can make them either 6-4 or 5-5. This can make us either 5-5 or 4-6. And it would technically put us over the hump, being better than them in conference, right? We would have to be chosen over them at the end of the season if we end up with the same conference record, because we have the same conference record. They are 2-3, we're 2-3. We have the higher quality win in conference, taking it to Memphis. I don't think Memphis was ready for us. It was a home game. They weren't ready for us. I don't think they took us serious. Now, don't think North Texas ain't going to be ready for us. We've seen it when we were clearly the better football team the past 3 years. And we've only stuck it to them that one time in the conference championship game. We pulled away from them. Right? But we struggled to beat them that first game in season. At home. So we need to stick it to them. We absolutely need to stick it to them. This is an important game. This is a program, not defining, but a program molding game, right? Can we come off a big win with these guys and perform and win the next game? We have 2 weeks to prove it, right? 13 days to get ready to prove it. 12 days to get ready for this game on 13th day. They played last week against Army. They're probably a little banged up. They performed surprisingly well against Army. They only lost 14-3. But they let Army go on a 14-minute drive And Army had the football first, I think. No, I could be wrong. Never let the academies or teams like that have the ball first. Always start the game with the ball first. Because then you. So what if they tie? Because here's the thing. The way you play those things, you get up, you take the approach that we can score on them. So we want to put the pressure on them, force them to get out of their normalcy, which is tie ball game. They're up 3, they're up 7. They need to take their time, right? Time of possession. We need to manage time of possession in our favor down the stretch. These are young kids, not a lot of experience. I talked about it. Don't put Owen into a situation to where he has to perform 2 minutes left to go in the game when you have a chance to salt away the game, right? We were tied 24-all against Memphis, and then we went on a tear and we scored 20 points, right? They only scored 12 in the second half. That means our defense picked it up. I have faith in our defense. I really do. I don't think our defense back half has come into its own yet. And this is where they're going to be tested. This is why our defensive line has to get after Morris and have to get them off timing. And then we have to have Danye or Martavius spy those running backs and make big stops. They have to be the ones that stop the run. If we can stop them from averaging 5 yards per carry, I like our chances. That's why I say this is all about the defensive line. And you got Martavius and Danye. And those guys have to be in that backfield or plugging holes properly on the run plays. And I'm not talking letting them get 4 yards carry, right? We can't let them get 4 yards. We have to stop them for 2 yards, 1 yard, running the football. I honestly believe we have to make them one-dimensional, not by scheme. Don't hear me out. We cannot make them one-dimensional by expecting our guys to play their wide receivers one-on-one. We need to be able to do it with our front 5. 3 down linemen, Martavius, and Danye, and whoever their backups are, right? That will allow Pee Wee, Dumas, all those other guys to step back there and be able to communicate, right? And cover guys, be in cover 2 kind of, right? Be in a 6-man zone coverage to help affect the quarterback's eyes, right? That has to happen. We have to be, that is the game right there. I'm just telling you right now. I think we can move on them. I don't think their defense is necessarily good enough to stop us from scoring 40 points, but we have to stop them from getting 45. That's what I'm talking about. And if we find ourselves up 14, we got to shorten that game. We got to run that football. We got to take our time and don't stop that clock with incomplete passes. We can't do that. We absolutely can't do that. Now, with all this being said, throw everything out the window. It's a rivalry game. North Texas football players want to kick our ass. Okay. That's fine. We want to kick their ass too. It's good. This is healthy, right? This is healthy. I don't necessarily see the hatred between the players as much as I saw when I see it when we played Texas State. I think there's a little bit of animosity there, specifically from the Texas State perspective for this, because the reason why I say that is if you look, North Texas really isn't that chippy with us the way Texas State is when we've played them. Now, I honestly think 100% of the time we cannot have penalties in this game. We cannot give that quarterback second chances. When he goes a slide, we just gotta at least not lower our head. Look like we're protecting ourselves, but not lower our pads and not lower our shoulders into them. Like, kind of basically just put your arms up like that and lean into them versus coming down like you're trying to hit them with the shoulder. They're going to call that every time. They're absolutely going to call that every time. Every time. We have to exploit our tight ends. I'm going to say this till the day I die. Overmeyer's played great for us. Dishman has stepped up. Thomas has stepped up. We've got some good tight ends still, right? And I think when we get those guys going over the middle, that's going to open it up for Carpenter on the outside, Amador on the outside. I think we need to dial back offensively into a more 1980s style of offensive scheming, tight ends over the middle. A lot, right? Utilize, the likes of play-wise, Jason Witten, Tony Gonzalez, right? Yeah, I'm going to age myself. Billy Joe Dupree, those guys that would go over the middle. Ozzie Newsome, right? They were meant for 7 yards. They might only catch like 3 passes, but they were 3 passes for first downs at odd times, right? It could be second and 5. You catch them for a 7-yard pass. Now all of a sudden, the linebackers can't come up on the read option, right? On the play action, right? The read option is really just a modification that we do of the play action pass, right? Because we don't go under center. We don't really have a Frank where he can ride him to the side and then Frank would take off, right? We don't run that kind of a read option, right? This is really to be honest with you, it's not much different when you look at it the way we are than what the Dallas Cowboys would do. Roger Staubach in the shotgun a lot, draw play. That's really what it is. It's just a little quicker hitter draw play. It's not really a draw play. Because a draw play that the Cowboys run with Roger Staubach is he sits there and the running back looks like he's blocking, then he hands it to him once all the defensive players start moving. And if they don't move, the idea is you still don't hand it off, right? But here, it's a read instantly to make them come up so you can throw over the top, right? Now, the problem is we are handing off, and all they're doing, because they know our tendency, just running straight forward. They're basically run blitzing, right? That's what all the best teams, all the teams that have had the best success against us has done. And that's fine if we pull it and hit them over the top with a tight end, right down the middle, right in the middle, right over their heads. Frank was great at that, right? That's why we won so many football games with him. Now, you're going to wonder what I think. I think we walk out with this game. I think we leave Friday night with a victory. I think we're 5-5. I'm sticking by that. And then we take on Temple, and that might be kind of a bye week. We've got to make it a bye week. We've got to, if we get past North Texas, I'm looking long term. If we get past North Texas, when we play Temple, we've got to put it on them quick, and we've got to get other players in there. That includes Eddie Lee Marburger. That includes the other quarterback that we can get out there and get him some time. Because these last 3 games where we are in our season are usable games for next year, right? We're not going to have Eddie Lee next year. I would be surprised if he didn't just He's got to have graduated already, right? I'd be surprised if he didn't just become a graduate assistant or something on the team, right? The staff's done a great job of keeping him around. I personally wouldn't have stayed. Ever. I want to play. I want a chance to be out there in game time and play. I don't care where. Back in the 80s in San Antonio, I was on a B-League softball team citywide. Some big guys, right? A was the next level up, but it wasn't C or D level. It wasn't recreational, right? And I was a worse softball player than when I said, you know what? I'm not going to get better without reps. Where do you go to practice softball? You know, see what I'm saying? So with football, where do you go to get your reps? In practice? Well, they're taking it easy on you, right? So if you want to get better, sometimes you got to take a step back, and that's okay. I'm surprised Eddie didn't go back to the RGV. He could have helped them instantly, probably. Maybe UIW. Maybe he did. They didn't want him. Maybe he just wanted to get his degree, and he's finally got his degree, and he's going to have 1 year left of eligibility. He ain't going to stay with us because that third string kid is going to take the job of the second string. If not, push Owen for first string status. But I doubt Owen loses first string status. There's just too much family history. There's just too much loyalty. Unless Owen leaves, which I don't think he's going to, because he is actually developing. He's actually developing. They'd have done him a better favor if the first 4 games, they were out of conference. They just let Eddie Lee start, bring him in the second half, say, look, this is what we're going to do. One of you is going to rise to the top. One of you is going to rise to the top by the time we get into conference. And create a rapport with all the wide receivers. They're the same plays, right? And then let the rapport happen in practice also. That's what I would have done. Because then they both would have gotten reps. And maybe Eddie Lee wins the job this year. And then Owen, guess what? Comes back next year and wins the job. Because he's physically more mature now. Look at him through the season. Looks to me like he's put on a little weight. He looks like he's starting to develop. He was lanky, right, in our bowl game last year. Skinny, whatever, right? Tough as nails. But this year, he looks like he's put on some weight. And as the season's going on, he's putting on some weight. So I think he's definitely hitting the weight room. Definitely hitting the weight room. That's what it looks like to me. I could be wrong, but that's what and maybe it's just because he's throwing the ball so much. We were 21 of 38 passing. I did not realize we missed that many throwing against Memphis. That really surprised me. It said 21 of 38. Maybe I read that wrong because I thought it was like 21 of 28 from what I heard. Let me see real quick. Against Memphis. There it is. What does it say? Team stats. Now, we did throw one pass. Amador did throw one pass. Yeah, 21 of 38. I mean, that's barely over 50. That's not much over 50%. That's not good, right? But a lot of that was probably in the first half, maybe. I don't know, because the second half, I don't know how many incomplete. He threw 2 incompletions early in the first half, right? We'll see. We'll see. He's developing fine. He's developing fine. We'll never have another Frank. Because if we get another Frank, what is that? 45 miles north? Towson is where they're going to go. What's going to happen? Anyway, Pura Vida, Roadrunner for life.